Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to a beautiful Sunday morning in hot Atlanta. Yeah, it's hot. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. We've had all the way up to 97, 98 degrees this last week. We are in the last week of May. And yes, we are the hot city, but even for us, it's a little unusual that we would be this hot this soon. It's not record breaking because it's happened before. However, I wasn't prepared for this heat this early. No complaints because we had a cold winter. So anyway, good morning. I am Minister Andrea Carr, and I welcome you this morning to just share some time with me, spend some time with me, spend a few moments with me as we discuss love not being envious or jealous. And I'm so excited this morning. I know you're like, you're on the move. Yes, I am. As you know, this is the holiday weekend. Happy Memorial Day to all who served and gave their lives, lost their lives. Lives were taken in the whole United States of America and out of the United States of America, our friends, and even those that fought against us. I still pray for everyone who has served in any branch of the military and has lost their lives, willingly or unwillingly, so that myself, my family, my friends, my neighbors, my community, my city, my state, my country could be free today. I thank them all. And if you have people in your family who served in the military or who were casualties of war, I thank you for them. So this morning, I won't be before you long because I know you're getting ready for church right now. And I also realize you may have guests in town. You're about to have a barbecue, a cookout, a gathering, some kind of enjoyment. I pray with family and friends today because that's what it's all about, spending time with each other and doing things together. So, having said that, I won't hold you long. I wanted to talk a little bit today about something I posted earlier this week. And you know we're doing the love series. We've talked about love being patient. We've talked about love being kind. Well, today I wanted to talk about the next clause in 1 Corinthians 13, which says, love is not envious. Love is not jealous, depending on which version of the Bible you're reading. And I wanted to kind of answer a question because I was unable to. When I posted this earlier this week, a friend of mine asked a question. It was a really great question. And for some reason, and I do apologize because I went on a little rant about Facebook blocking things and deleting things because I couldn't find the post. And then I had other people who were trying to find the post and answer it, and they were unable to. So I was a little bit upset. I'm like, we can post about nonsense and our posts still stay around. But when we post about questions where we're really trying to learn and discern God, that they would disappear. I was a little upset by that. I would like to say it was righteously indignant because it was a very good question, and I really wanted to hear the answers of my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ as I had answers. So I do apologize because what I found out is that day Facebook was glitching. So there were posts that were disappearing but coming back, or some of them never came back. It wasn't that they were blocking them or flagging them. It's just a glitch that happened, and it had been happening the day before and I believe the day after. So I do apologize for that little shade that was thrown there. But the question from my friend was, if love is not jealous, then why is God jealous? Isn't God love? So if love is God and God is love, then why is he jealous if love is not jealous? And there were some great answers on my post. If you're able to go to my page, look earlier in the week where I posted love is not jealous, and look at some of the comments. I believe that you can find it. It depends. You can find it, some cannot still find it. But I wanted to answer that question this way. I'll try to do a response. But in my heart of hearts, when I hear God being jealous, I don't think of it as the same way as a human jealousy. And one of the comments said that. I don't believe that God is jealous the way humans know jealousy. I believe God is jealous think of a parent. If a parent has a child and you do everything for this child, yet they want to give props and adoration to someone else who hasn't done something for them or who hasn't done as much for them. So it's not that you're jealous, it's the fact that, hey, what about me? I'm the one who did this for you. Where's my recognition? I should be important. And being that God has done everything for us, let's not just, forget that he woke us up this morning. That's the first major thing that he did for us. I mean, major, because there are many people who didn't wake up this morning. And there are people who woke up but don't even know they're awake because they're in a vegetative state. There are others who are immobile. And so I say that to say, when you have a God that does everything for you, it's not that he's jealous of other things and other people. It's just that he's saying, hey, remember me. Remember, I'm the one who did this. Make sure you thank me for it. Don't thank the tree for giving you $100 because, okay, yeah, they may have used the tree to get the paper for the money that creates the $100, but I made the tree. So I wanted to say that to you when we're talking about God being jealous. I don't want us to think of it as the human jealous emotion, because God is not like us. He does not do like us. So when he says you shall have no other gods before me, what he really is saying is that I've done everything for you. There's no one on earth that can do what I've done for you. Remember that and give me my props for it. Okay? So that's my answer for that question to the post that was on my page earlier this week. So God being jealous is not like husband being jealous or brother being jealous or cousin being envious. Okay? There's a distinct difference in my mind and in my heart. So that's just the Andrea philosophy. I'm sure that people have all kinds of ideas about it, but that's just my response to it when I think of God and jealousy. So I wanted to talk today briefly about love not being jealous. And since I'm driving, I have my partner in crime beside me, and she's going to read to you the definition for jealous.
Feeling or showing envy of someone or their achievements and advantages.
And then read the one, I think it's this one. Mm-hmm.
Fiercely protective or vigilant of one's rights or possessions.
So jealousy is a fierce vigilance of one's possessions or of a person, is basically what envy is saying. Okay, so then there's a tab somewhere where I have the definition of jealous, or envy, I'm sorry.
Painful or resentful awareness of an advantage enjoyed by another joined with the desire to possess the same advantage.
So envy is a desire. First, you're resentful of what a person has. Then you have a desire to have what they have. So kind of like coveting. Okay, so the reason why I asked my ride or die right next to me, Danielle, to read those definitions to you, because I really want to get into this envy and jealousy thing, because we are called to not have those emotions in love. And we've been talking about romantic love, and we've also been talking about familial love, which is family love, and then friend love. We have agape love, which is unconditional love, right? Then we have phileo love, which is brotherly love. So eros love is that romantic, sometimes sexual love. Can I put it like that? I just wanted you to know the difference as we're talking about love. But I'm talking about all phases and facets of love, every area of love. So love is not jealous, meaning you're not possessive, right, or resentful of someone or what they have. And you're not to be envious, which is covetous, wanting what someone else has, feeling that you deserve it and they don't. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because as we talk about relationships, there are times in relationship, well, can we be honest with one another, that we felt jealous? Whether it's on a job, whether it's in education, at school at some point, whether it's in a boyfriend, girlfriend, dating relationship, you're engaged or you're married or you're looking towards someone. Can we be honest? At least at one point in life, experienced some form of jealousy. I like that, Shauna, thank you so much. Hey, Shauna. Shauna says that God's jealousy is not based on human insecurity, and that's where I wanted to touch on. Envy and jealousy come usually at the root of someone not being comfortable. And it's not just not being comfortable, but they're insecure. It usually comes when you don't know where you stand. It comes when you don't know who you are. It comes when you are questioning where you are in life, what you're doing in life. And then you begin comparing yourself to other people. Jealousy comes when there's a doubt, there's a fear. And I wanted to stress this because both envy and jealousy can be used simultaneously, but there's a little difference because envy, I hear that not only are you resentful of what a person has, but you want it. Jealousy is you're resentful of the person. You're possessive over what they are to you or what they have. So I wanted to touch on both of those words so that you would understand that when jealousy comes, there are a few reasons, and there's some things that we need to do as we're talking about wanting to be in godly relationships, in us praying for godly marriages and godly associations and divine connections. And as we're praying for these things and God is beginning to bless us with these things, what we need to understand is that we need to be secure in who we are, what we have, the promise he made to us, and where we're going in life. You have to be assured and confident in things before God joins you to that person. What happens is when you're not sure of who you are, doubt arises, and in that doubt, jealousy, the root becomes planted in you. And you begin to feel as if you are not enough. Now, let me make this clear, because for as confident as you can be in yourself, as confident as you are in the promises of God, as confident as you are in knowing that God is going to bless you and keep the promises he's made to you, there are times when fear comes in because someone is in our lives that we're not comfortable with. Have you ever in life gotten something you felt you didn't deserve? And because you felt like you didn't deserve it, you became fearful of losing it. You became fearful of breaking it. You became fearful of someone else taking it who had more preparation and education on how to handle it. They read the instructions better than you did, so you became fearful. Also, in relationships, we have to be mindful of how we talk to people, of how we treat people, because we can put doubt inside someone. We can allow someone to be insecure no matter how secure they are within whom they are. But if you're treating them a certain way, those seeds will be planted. I've heard a lot, and I'm not negating it, but it's something that has given me pause. People have said, well, if you're secure, no one can make you insecure. I argue that. And let me tell you why I argue it. Because if I'm secure in a relationship, but I'm dating a man who's constantly comparing me to someone who doesn't look like me, someone who doesn't act like me, someone with a different upbringing, someone with a different physical attribute than me, and he keeps saying how much he loves it and how much it pleases him, and he's constantly not only bringing that person up, but then he starts finding fault with me and the things that I'm lacking compared to this other person, I don't care how confident I am. If I continually hear this, it's going to make me start looking at myself differently. Like, wait a minute, if this is what pleases him, if this is what he finds attractive, if this is what he likes, and I'm not like that, what is it saying about me? Is he saying that he doesn't like me, that he doesn't find me attractive, that I'm not pleasing to him? And those seeds begin getting planted. I don't care how secure you are, and this is why I will debate it. If someone is constantly feeding you negative rhetoric, thank you, Holy Spirit, because I was about to say something else. If they're constantly feeding you negativity, you are going to start feeling inadequate. And this is where these seeds are planted in our, and I thank you, Shauna, for this, in our insecurity. Growing up, we needed something, and it was acknowledgement by our parents. It was our parents saying to us that we were beautiful, smart, intelligent, whatever the positive words were to help build our esteem. We needed that from both parents. Can I just be honest with you for a minute? You needed that because it helped you to have faith in, they see the goodness in me. They love me. They see this. So now that they see it in me, I'm going to start seeing it in myself. I'm going to start believing it in myself. I'm going to start walking it out. And we become confident. If you're growing up and you have not had those things poured into you, you already are at a deficit. You already have a minus because now you're questioning, if my parent never gave me love, if my parent never told me I was beautiful, if my parent never said I mattered, if my parent never did any of these things for me, or if my parent was absent in my life, if my parent made promises that were always broken, surely there's something wrong with me. And we get into this mindset where there's something wrong with me, and there are seeds planted so that when people come into our lives and they walk out what we've already been fearing, we have that negative emotion around us, and jealousy and envy feed off of negativity. Let me share something personal with you. And this is going to be that kind of day where there are a couple of things I want to share with you so you understand where I'm coming from when I say this, because it's so important that we feed positivity to the youth in our lives, to those people, even adults right now. It's important that we share positive messages and positive thoughts and encouragement and compliments, feeding positivity to people. This is why, growing up, you all know, my natural father, my biological father, was really an in and out father. He really wasn't in my life. Thankfully, I had a dad who raised me. You call them stepdads. I call him my father, my daddy, my dad, my boo, that helped to raise me with my mom. But my biological father's absence in my life made me feel like something was wrong with me. Now, there are parents who've had two family households that won't understand this. So when they have a child that's missing a biological parent, here's what I want to say. For as much as parents step in when a biological is not there, there's something inside of us. And everybody has a different degree and deals with this differently, but there's something inside of us that's missing that natural relationship with that biological parent. We get half our DNA and chromosomes from them, right? So it feels as if half of us is missing. And some of us go through life looking for that other piece to make ourselves feel whole. And I need you to understand this, parents. It is important that if your child's other parent is not involved in their life, that you pour more into that child because they're missing. You'll never replace the biological parent. Never, ever. However, you can do what you can do to make sure that they know that you love them, that you know that you believe in them, that they know that you matter, or they matter to you and they're important to you, because this helps to shape their esteem, how they love each other, themselves, what they're going to grow into. Now, I had a parent that was missing. He was MIA. And so I already had a deficit because he was in and out my life. And I want to say this to the parents. If you're not going to be in your child's life, then don't be in your child's life. Don't play them like a yo-yo. Don't come in and out, in and out, in and out. That hurts more than you staying all the way out. Let me tell you why. Because right when they get to the point of moving on or trying to move on and forgive you, you come back in making promises that you don't keep, and then you disappear. So now not only do they have to face the hurt of you not being there in the beginning, now they have to rehash the hurt because you came back and did it to them again. So I always suggest, if you know you're not ready to parent, don't have kids. But if you're not ready to parent, speak to the custodial parent and say, I'm not ready. Give me some time. Let me grow up. Let me mature. Let me get my head straight, because I don't want to break their heart constantly, because that's what you're doing. When you come in and out, you continue to break the heart of a child. And they get used to yo-yo behavior from people. And different people react differently. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm just saying, let them be able to heal fully. And then when you are ready and mature and able to be in their lives 100%, come in. Oh, they're going to be angry. You're probably going to get told off. And let me suggest something else. If you've hurt your child, be prepared and accepting of them going off on you. You did it. You did it. You caused it. So allow them to get their emotions out. Allow them to say to you what they have to say. Shake it off. Say, I'm sorry. Allow them to forgive you. Then walk out what you're promising. I'm going to call you once a week. Well, guess what? Call them once a week. I'm going to spend more time with you. Spend more time with them. Because absolutely, Shauna, subconsciously what you're doing with your children sets the stage for future relationships. And that's what I want to talk about when it comes to the yo-yo effect. In the yo-yo effect, for females, we tend to act out. We tend to look for a person who's going to take the place of our missing parent. And as much as we love to say, I will never date my father if the father is the one that's missing. I will never marry my father. I will never. The first 10, 20, 30 people, I'm just saying numbers, that we associate with are exactly like our fathers. And it's not the positive sides of our fathers. It's that negative side. It's that thing that is holding him back from us or not allowing him to be there. And a lot of female children become promiscuous because they're looking for their father, but there's no man on earth that can replace your biological father romantically. You can't find it that way. So we go through the yo-yo with our biological parent that's in and out of our life, but then we go through the yo-yo of the relationship because it doesn't work. We move on and go to a next one. That doesn't work. We move on. We go on to the next one because it won't. Because we are not healed ourselves. So we go looking for healing in all the wrong places. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I know we're not talking about that, but we need to talk about that. So my biological father was not in my life, and I was seeking him. But here's the thing. I had seeds planted, right, from his desertion and then his in and out yo-yo behavior. But then I had another issue. I was dark-skinned. I know you can't tell now. I'm just like glowing. You don't see all this mocha chocolate right here. But in society, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. That was my adolescence and I was a teenager in the 80s and 90s. So there was a lot of negativity with dark-skinned females. We were always told, and this is something that I was always told, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. That was supposed to be a compliment. That was like the best that someone could say about me. Growing up, I was called all kinds of names: tar baby, blackie, midnight, all these things. And so I was dealing with the deficit already of a missing parent, feeling like I wasn't worthy. And then society told me because of my dark skin, I was ugly, I was a baboon, I was a this and a that. And kids came with their negative comments. In that is when you need to have people in your life that are going to pour into you and encourage you and help you to build esteem, because that's two deficits right there. Not that I put on myself, but people put on me by my father not being there, and society and people around me saying that I'm not good enough because of the color of my skin. Well, here's what happened. Because I wasn't getting enough encouragement, because I wasn't spoken into enough, I started feeling as if my dark skin was a curse, that it needed to be eradicated. And so my aunt would take me to the store, and we would go in and we would get bleach cream. I'm not going to say the brands, but there are two brands and they're still out today. And every time my daughters see those brands on the shelves, they want to like knock them down because they were so upset by what I went through. We would get the skin toner, but it was skin bleach, two of the companies, brands that are still in the store now, so that I could put it on my face to make it lighter. And my family unconsciously would say things where I'm not sure they knew that it was hurtful, but it was hurtful. They would tell me, don't wear bright colors, don't wear red, don't wear lipstick. Not only with colors, but it would be, don't go out into the sun. You're already dark enough. You don't want to get a tan. You don't want to get any darker. They would say things like, coffee makes you black. Don't drink coffee. You know what I mean? Or if you're going to drink it, make sure it's really, really, really light. So my family, I'm not going to say it was conscious, because I was one of the darker members of the family. I had family members who would definitely pass the paper bag test, as they would talk about back then in the 70s and 80s. I'm trying to give you honesty here. And so I started feeling not only that I wasn't lovable because my father couldn't love me or didn't choose to love me, but now I'm feeling as if I don't fit into society because of my skin tone. And I can't do anything about my skin tone except to maybe try to bleach it, which is what I did with the cream. But the cream wasn't making me any lighter. So can I be honest with you? Can I share something with you? When I was a teenager, okay, so before I was a teenager, it was right at that cusp of like 11 to 13. I was in elementary school. You know, our grammar schools, that's what we called them back then, go from kindergarten to 8th grade. We don't have this whole middle school dynamic. When I was in, it was either 7th grade or 8th grade, I can't remember. We were watching a movie in the TV and all the lights were off. And one of my classmates, you know how we used to joan on each other, talk about each other. Back in the day, they used to call it shooting the dozens, something like that. But we used to call it joning or going off on people. I'm minding my business. I'm watching a movie, and I hear him say, dang, Andrea's so black that you can't even see her with the lights off. Thank God she has white teeth, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to find her. And, you know, my classmates, they think it's funny. I went to a Catholic school. I was one of the few, it might have been maybe 3, 4 dark-skinned people, because it wasn't that many African Americans to begin with. And so when he said that and he made that joke and people started laughing, it hurt me. It hurt me so bad. I really wanted to cry. But one of the things I learned before that point was that you had to have tough skin. So instead of crying in front of him like I wanted to do, I went off on him. So my defense mechanism became, before you say something to hurt my feelings, I'm going to say something to hurt your feelings. And that's when I totally went off on him on things he couldn't help. And where I was like, at least the only fault you can give me is my dark skin. But what about your mama who was a this? What about your father who was a that? What about your brother who was that? And look at your face. I went in on him because that's how I was defending myself. That's how I was protecting my heart. But once I got out of class and went home that weekend, it still stuck with me. It still hurt me. So that day or evening, because we took baths in the evening, I ran water, and I honestly went in to the laundry room and got bleach. And I poured bleach into the tub because I was going to bleach my skin. And I'm sharing something with you I've only told my children. But that's how hurt I was. It still bothers me. And as I poured the bleach in, I was like, I'm going to sit here and stay in this tub until I become at least 5 shades lighter, so that way I'll be accepted. As I was about to get into the tub, and I didn't know God like that. Like, I went to church, but it wasn't a relationship with God I had. But I know it was him, and he sent angels. Before I got into the tub, it was like I heard a voice that's like, no, don't do it. And there was no one in the bathroom with me. Trust me. I was in the bathroom by myself, but there was like a force that came over me. And even though I didn't really hear no, it stopped me from doing it. And I just cried and cried and cried because I said, they're going to talk bad about me. They're going to say this. They're going to say that. And so I didn't do it, but I started using, I was about to say the name of the cream. I started using the cream more and more to try to get my complexion even lighter. I would love to say that was my only experience with that negativity, but it wasn't. I told you that there were people who called me these names constantly in my growing up. But I think besides that one, what hurt me more was there was a boy I had a crush on. And ladies, when you were in elementary school, 8th grade level, when you had that first big crush on the high school guy who would come up to the school kind of thing, but you weren't in high school yet, so you were just like, oh, only imagine if I could talk to this guy. You know what I mean? I had that. And there was this guy that was the older brother to one of my not my classmates, but a 7th grade classmate, and he would come pick her up, and he was just fine and gorgeous, and oh my gosh. And we would talk, because at this point in 8th grade, I had become that jokester, that class clown, because again, it was a protective measure. So you're not going to talk about me. You're not going to talk about my skin tone, because I'm going to get you first. So everybody know, oh, Andrea is funny. Oh, she is a clown. She will get you. Don't mess with her. So I became a little popular because of it. And so people who came on, our school grounds, we would talk to, whatever. So he was one of the people I talked to, and he and his sister actually lived like a block and a half away from me. So we will all walk together and then split. So we were just talk. So finally, it was about time to graduate. And, we graduate in June. So this may have been May. And we had an 8th grade party. You couldn't invite anybody outside the school, but we had all agreed that we might go meet up afterwards. I can't remember where, with our parents, of course, or our parents drop us off. And I was talking to him, and I was like, do you have a girlfriend? Just being nosy. And so he was like, no, I just broke up with this girl I was dating, da-da-da-do-da-do-da-da. And so I was like, can I ask you a question? And I don't know where this boldness came from. And he was like, sure. And I was like, do you like me? Would you date me? Or would you be my boyfriend? Because we didn't really say date. We were like boyfriend, girlfriend, that kind of thing. And he was like, I do like you. You're really funny. And he went down this list. He said, you're pretty. You're smart. He said, I love the jokes that you tell. He said, you're a real good friend. He was like, and I would love to make you my girlfriend, but I don't date black girls. So at the time, mind you, I'm in 8th grade, right? So I'm not, I'm still naive to some things. And I was like, you don't date black girls? And he was like, no. And so I looked at him because he was a cute brown-skinned brother. And I'm just like, but you're black. So why don't you date black girls? And he was like, oh, I date. He said, okay, I don't date black girls. I don't date girls your complexion. That's too black for me. And when I tell you it stung me, it hurt like That was the worst rejection probably I've ever gotten, which has probably kept me from pursuing people or saying that I like people, because that sting always came back and it always hurt. Like, he said all these positive things about me. The only reason he wouldn't date me was because of my skin tone. I was too black for him. And I cried again, and I cried again. And it's something that I held with me for years. But this is why I'm telling you about these seeds that are planted, because I have deficits, right? And so now with these deficits of my dad not being in my life, of people telling me I'm too dark and that I'm being called these names, and now I'm rejected, all these deficits, rejected by father, rejected by a crush, low self-esteem, because I had low self-esteem. And I tell you, it shut me down. And guess what happened? Jealousy and envy were planted within me because of my insecurity, because of my low self-esteem, because I didn't feel good enough, because no one really fed into me that forget what those people say, forget how they're teasing you, forget his rejection, forget your father's rejection. You are a beautiful girl. You are going to do great things. Without that positivity poured into me, all I saw was myself as this ugly, black, nappy-headed child. Can I be honest with you? And I had nice hair. But because there was no one to feed that into me, my natural hair now was ugly and nappy, because that's all we knew back then. And that's what was fed into me. And so I became a volatile ball of jealousy and envy. I would look at girls who had long, straight hair and wish I could be that person. Sounds like envy, right? Because not only did I not want them to have it, I wanted it. I would see couples together and be jealous. Why? Because I felt like I wasn't worthy to be with the cream of the crop. I felt like I should settle for whatever likes me because I was not worthy. So I would look at other couples and be jealous because they had the relationship that I wanted with the kind of person I wanted to be with, but felt that I was never good enough to have. And in relationships, when I got into them, I always watched, is he looking at her when a woman would walk past? Is he checking her out when a woman passed because she doesn't look like me? And surely he likes that as opposed to me because I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm too black. I'm too dark. I have nappy hair. I have natural hair. And so it went on for years. I would take what I was given because I was never confident. I was never comfortable with myself. I never felt self-assured in a relationship because of the deficits I had in my life. So in the place of confidence came insecurity. And in the insecurity I had came jealousy and envy. And love is not that way. Love never compares you to another person. I don't care if you date 10 people. You are not to compare those 10 people. Each person should feel like a king. Each person should feel like a queen. You should never allow your mate to feel insecure because you're not feeding positivity into them. You should be assuring your partner, your life mate, your friend, whomever, of the good qualities that they have. Another thing, never berate or put down your mate in front of other people. That is a detriment. That is something that will be in their minds forever. You never say anything negative about your mate in front of another person. First of all, that person will use it against you because they're going to be trying to get to that person because of your negativity. But not only that, that person has to feel confident. And there's no way they're going to feel confident if they see that you don't feel confident about them. In relationships, love is so important, but loving yourself first is the answer to a lot of the issues we face in relationships. If we deal with our mess, if we deal with our ghosts, our skeletons, our negativity, our emotions, if we deal with those things first, By the time we get into a relationship, we have healed, we have matured, and we are ready to move on and treat somebody right. How can you treat somebody else right when you don't treat you right? I was in relationships halfway because half of me was broken. So how could I give someone 100% of myself if I'm not 100%? I'm only giving you probably 25% because 75% of myself was going through rejection, self-hatred, self-loathing, low self-esteem, trying to change myself and become. So only 25% of myself was probably healthy. So that's what I'm giving to another person. When we're in relationships, it's not 50-50, contrary to popular perception and to those nice, cute little sayings on cards. Love is 100%, period. It is all of you. It's your good, bad, and ugly. It's all of you. Everybody deserves the 100% best of you. So, Andrea, how do I give 100% the best of me? By healing, by being honest, by doing a self-check. Who am I right now? Am I honestly over the last dude I dated? Am I over the 5 girls who broke my heart back when? Am I over those people? And you need to do a self-check and start healing yourself. So when you get into relationships, you are at the point where you're able to love somebody the way that you love yourself. If you don't love yourself, if you don't like yourself, you're not going to love or like another person. It's impossible. You can't give to them what you don't have. It's like going to a bank and trying to rob it and you don't have anything to, you have no mask on, you have no weapon, you have, and I don't want to talk about robbing banks, but I mean the ludicrousy of it. Why would you go to a bank to rob it if you have nothing to rob it with? Why would you go into a relationship if you have nothing to give? If you have nothing to offer, sit down. Heal yourself. I promise you, you're not going to miss out. Contrary to popular belief in Atlanta, Georgia, that there's 25 women to 1 man, boo-boo. If you want a relationship, trust me, God could send your husband from Antarctica to Atlanta to put his eyes on you and set it all up together at the designated time. But heal yourself first. I had to sit down, and I promise you, can I be honest with you, for real, for real? I didn't get over myself until I went through hell. Until I went through some of the darkest moments of my life was I able to accept I'm a dark-skinned sister, ain't nothing I could do about it. And not only can I do anything about being dark-skinned, I happen to love this chocolate skin. It took years, but it wasn't until God broke me in vanity, because I had this false vanity. Do you ever notice that if you're lacking in something, you try to build up other things about yourself instead of dealing with the deficit that you have, instead of being honest? So if you have, I'm trying to think of an attribute. If I have beautiful light brown eyes, but I have this mark on me, I'm going to focus on my light brown eyes. And that's going to be what captures. Or can I be honest with you? We use sex as a weapon. And you know we're not supposed to be fornicating, but we use sex as a weapon. So if I feel insufficient and I feel like I'm not the best, I'm going to wear, if my attributes are in front or in back, I'm going to wear shirts that show my front or pants that show off my back, so that you focus on those things so I can camouflage the other things that I'm lacking or I feel I lack. But here's where it gets into problem, because we're falling into lust instead of falling into love. So now we come to a point where we're looking at the things that turn us on instead of looking at things that are good for us. So we have this lust on us because we're not dealing with broken hearts, broken spirits, broken relationships, broken expectation. So now we have to camouflage so you don't see the hurt. You don't see where I'm lacking. You don't see my deficit. You don't see my low self-esteem, but rather you see my front and my back. And so now, because I have attracted you and it's worked, I'm going to use this all the time. So anytime a relationship doesn't work, instead of dealing with it, I'm going to wear something fitting. I'm going to go places where they're not going to worry about my heart or my character, but they're going to like me for physical reasons. And this is how we go into this cycle over and over, instead of dealing with the fact that someone broke our hearts, whether it was a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, a cousin. Oh, and you know, there are things that we go through. There's molestation, there's lies, there's rape, there's all kinds of situations that unfortunately we have dealt with, but haven't dealt with. We've gone through them, but we haven't dealt with them. And because we haven't dealt with them, we take lust instead of waiting for love. And we want to keep using this 4-letter word erroneously, because what we're calling love is not love. If you read all of 1 Corinthians 13, you'll shake you. When I really honestly read 1 Corinthians 13 the first time, I said, have I ever loved anybody? Can I be real? Oh, I've had that emotion. I've had that, ooh, he's gorgeous, and ooh, I miss him, and ooh, I want to cuddle with him. I've had that. Love is patient. Have I been patient in relationships? Have I waited for the person to get it right without berating them and yelling at them and hounding them and nitpicking and henpecking? Love is kind. What have I done to be kind in a relationship where I didn't want something in return, where it wasn't about me instead of being it about them? Love is not jealous. Have I ever been secure in a relationship? Have I ever felt confident in a relationship? And likewise, have I made my partner feel comfortable in a relationship and confident? Have I said, my king, you are handsome this morning. My king, here are some flowers for you. Here's a love note for you. Hey, I cooked dinner for you. Have I done things to make him feel confident? Because contrary to popular opinion, men need encouragement too. You wonder why there's some men that go off and cheat. Now, I'm not talking about everybody, but there's some men who cheat, not because the woman is gorgeous and is 35, 24, 38, but because she's feeding him compliments, because she's making him feel necessary, needed, loved, appreciated, and he's not getting that at home. I'm not justifying it, because if that's the case, the two of you need to sit down and have an honest conversation. But this is some reasons why people cheat, because they feel taken for granted. So we need to be building this encouragement and positivity in relationships, because if I allow you to be positive and you help me become positive, and we each make each other feel secure in this relationship, how can we not win? So when temptation comes or tries to come, I'm good, because I see him talking to that woman who doesn't look like me, who has everything exposed, and he's like, no, I'm confident, because he's made me feel confident that he loves me and he's attracted to me. Be very careful and cautious, and I said this in the beginning, of how you speak to people in a relationship. If you're always downgrading them, they're going to have jealous issues. I don't care how confident they are. Be careful of how you treat them, because the way you treat them is the way you're going to lose them if you're not careful. So take your time and allow each person to feel confident. And I hear you saying, that's not my job. My job is not to make that person feel confident. They should be confident on their own. Can I be real with you? They should. They should have it all together. But we're human, and all humans don't have it together. So if we get into a relationship, then we need to be vigilant about making sure we offer them confidence. You can't make someone happy. You can't, or what is it that I'm trying to say, Holy Spirit? You can't complete people. God does this. God handles that. He didn't ask you to do his job, but it's not hard to compliment someone. And now I'm using compliment in two contexts. I'm using it with the I and I'm using it with the E. It's not hard to compliment someone. Danielle, you are a beautiful girl. You are a princess that will grow up to be a queen. And I'm not saying that for you in entertainment. I tell my daughter that all the time. This is not the first or the 100th time she's heard this. It's many times. It's almost every single day I say something. But I mean it because that's what's in her. So that's the I, compliment. It's not hard to tell your wife she's beautiful. Instead of saying, baby, them pants are fitting a little tight. Or telling your husband, ooh, you should push away from the table sometimes. Turn your plate over. You might need to fast. That's negative. Instead, yeah, they may need to lose a few pounds, but you go ahead and rub that belly and say, you a fine, sexy daddy to your husband. He gonna smile and say, oh, suck that stomach in. He might have some thoughts of working out. And you could even suggest, hey, sexy, can we go to the gym together? Let's go in together. So you're not putting them on Front Street. You're making it seem like this is a couple activity. So try some compliments. So that way, the compliment with the I, you can compliment with the E each other. Work together, fit together, be together. You're supposed to compliment each other in a relationship. So you shouldn't walk behind your spouse, or your person you're in a relationship with, nor should you walk in front of, but walk beside each other. I always think about the scripture where God took Adam's rib. That was from his side. He didn't take anything from his head. He could have, brain. He didn't take anything from Adam's foot. He could have. God could create. He created Adam with dust and breath. You don't think God could have taken any other area of Adam's body and created man? He could have. But every time I think about it, he took Eve from Adam's side. Why? Because we are supposed to walk together, building a relationship, building a marriage, building God's kingdom, building empires together. So even as man leads, the woman is the helpmeet to help with that. There's a movie that I love, and it's called, is it My Big Fat Greek Wedding? That's what it's called. And in it, the mother says to the daughter, the man is the head, but the woman is the neck. And I love that analogy because she was like, because the woman can turn the man's head. Andrea, what does she mean by that? Meaning that even though he's the head and is to make decisions, I can give my input. And just because he said is red, my input, not arguing, not nagging, but conversation with him, honest, real communication with him can make him say, you know what? Green. That's what conversation does. And that's why it's so important that you be confident in your relationships. It's time out from doing relationships the way they've been done. Now it's time for godly relationships. It's time for real love. It's time for us to come together and start making these beautiful marriages that our children see, that our grandchildren see, that our nieces and nephews and cousins see, so that they have a basis. No, I don't have to be with somebody that's browbeating me for 50 years just to say that I'm married. Or no, I don't have to settle on this person because I'm inadequate here. No, they should see godly relationships, and you keep pouring it into them to see the love between couples, so that way they grow and they want that. I'm blessed. My brother, hey sweetie, he's on the phone. Hey Dwayne, he's on the live too. We were blessed because we had two parents that loved each other. We got to see love. We are blessed because we had two great aunts and uncles who were married until their death that loved each other. We were blessed because we had an uncle upstate in New York who loved his wife. We had an aunt down south who was married, who we got to see real love. I saw different kinds of love, but it was real love. I saw the laughter, I saw the flirtation, I saw the anger, but not negative anger where it was abusive. It was, okay, we'll talk about this later. The kids are here. So we saw love. We know what love looks like. A lot of people don't have that, but it's so important for children to see. It's so important for families to see. It's so important for communities to see. They see all this negativity and all these relationships where people are bouncing out in 2 months. They're in a relationship yesterday. Tomorrow, they're in a relationship with somebody else. They got 15 people in the wings. They're not committing anymore. They need to see relationships so they can see how it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to be godly. God ordained marriage. He said, cleave to your wife. You leave your mother and father at home, cleave to your wife. So God wasn't opposed to marriage. He put it together. And so I'm saying this because I really want you to get what love is. So when you see that person or that person sees you and you connect, you're here for life. When you are saying those vows on that wedding day, it's not because you're getting a dress, not because you're entertaining folks, not because you want that honeymoon to Aruba, but you are marrying your life mate. You are saying I do, and it's for real, and it's forever, and you're not miserable, but you are happy. You won't always have good moments in marriage. You won't always have happy times in relationships. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. But when you keep feeding the positivity, when you are taking the Bible and taking these messages, it helps you to do better. So when they get on your ever-loving nerve, you can walk away, blow a kiss, baby, we'll talk later. It's okay. Let me just go to the store. Let me just go to here. Let me move away from that. So I don't call you out of your name. You don't call me out of my name. When we're somewhere, you don't have to worry if there's 3 girls who walk past in a bikini. I might look because I'm shocked, but I'm not going to be lusting after them. And that's something, gentlemen, can I say this? And ladies, don't be mad, but I have to say this. When you're out with your woman, when you're out with your female, please don't gawk at another woman. I don't care how underdressed she is and how much her attributes are on show. Don't gawk at another woman in the presence of your woman. That hurts our confidence. Let me tell you, I used to date someone and we went out. And when we went out, we were at the dinner table. And this woman walked past, and he was in the middle of talking to me. His whole head rotated. And I'm sitting here like this, looking at him. Now, his head is that way. I'm here in front of him, but his head is that way, the direction she went in. And then he came back and looked at me and said, What? What'd I do? He couldn't understand why I had an attitude. He couldn't understand why I wanted to go home. It's up to you to give your woman confidence in your relationship. If you're in a relationship, it's up to you to make it known that you're in a relationship, both of you. When you introduce the person you're with, this is my wife, this is my fiance, this is my intended, this is my girlfriend, whatever the title is, that's how you make introductions. Likewise, ladies, you do the same thing. Don't be like, this is my friend, and you know that you two are in a committed relationship. What does that do to the person's confidence in that relationship? This is why jealousy builds. This is why envy builds, because we're making people doubt who they are in a relationship. And it's up to you to not disrespect the commitment that you made. Now, likewise, if you're not feeling this commitment, you shouldn't be in it. If you're going to mistreat people and pour negativity, you shouldn't be there. That's not for you. You don't break down people. You're supposed to build them up. And that's not just in dating relationships. That's in families. That's in associations. That's in ministry. You bring people up, not bring them down. This is how envy happens. And we've been talking about romantic relationships, but it also happens within ministry. It happens in the church. It happens on the job. If you're always constantly being negative to people, that's what they're going to walk in. They're not going to feel confident. And so we need to do a better job of making sure that we don't have those seeds of jealousy and those seeds of envy planted. Sometimes people play those games. And it's very important to know who you are so when they try it, it doesn't stay there. You can shake it off and walk away. But if you can't, conversation, honest communication is so important. Let me leave you with a scripture that I want you to read on your time. It's 1 Samuel 20. This is the relationship between David and Jonathan. I was going to get into it, but we spent so much time on the practical, but I still want to give you some spiritual. So when you have a time available, read 1 Samuel, the 20th chapter. It talks about lack of jealousy. And the way it does that is Saul is king. Saul is the people's king. They chose him. And so by rights, now you know how royalty works. If there's a king and he has a son, it usually falls into the lap of his son. And in these days, it could be a daughter. So Saul had a son. His name was Jonathan. Jonathan was his oldest child. So by rights, Jonathan should have been the next king in line when Saul passed away. However, Saul was the people's king. God chose his king, David, which was not in the family line of Saul. So now Jonathan is next in line to be king, but God said, no, I'm closing the door on that family, and I'm allowing David to rise in power and become king. Well, Jonathan and David were best friends. They loved each other. And even though Jonathan should have moved up to kingship, even though he should have moved up into that position, God didn't choose him. But instead of him being envious, instead of him being jealous, he helped his best friend survive the attacks of his father. He stood on the side of his friend who was chosen by God instead of standing on the side of his father who wanted to kill the man God chose. So this speaks of envy and jealousy, because even though you may not get the promotion, even though you may not get the position, even though you may not get the acclaim or the accolades, don't hate on somebody else who does. Don't talk negatively about that person who got it, whether they deserved it or not. They got it and you didn't. Don't be jealous, meaning you're possessive of. Don't be envious, because that means you're coveting what they got, so you have some resentment. Don't feel like that. What's for you will be for you, even if it doesn't happen right then. Don't you know David could have been jealous? God called David to be king when he was still a shepherd. David went into the king's house to be his servant, to serve him and to play the harp and lyre when he would get into fits of anger. But yet God called him to be king. But he had to serve the king. And if that wasn't bad enough, he had to go home and be a shepherd too. He could have been real jealous and say, gosh, you promised me, Lord. You said I was going to be king. Why am I not king? And he could have really hated on Saul. But he didn't hate on Saul. He served him. And he didn't haphazardly serve Saul. He served him with everything he had. So even though you may be in a position right now that you don't like, that God did not promise for you, do it unto God, not unto man. That means give it 100%. Give your all to it, because God is using that to build you up for where he's going to take you later. I don't know why, but it's in my spirit that people have been grumbling and complaining about where they are right now. And God is saying, just keep doing it. Do it 100%. You have been half but doing it. You've been given 25%. You've been given 50%. He's waiting for you to give that full 100. He said, go all out as if I'm your supervisor sitting at your desk, as if I'm your professor, as if I'm your pastor, as if I'm that leader. I need you to serve him 100 or her 100% right now. And when you start serving 100% and I see your heart is about serving this person and doing all you can do, promotion will come. Your position will change. Your blessing will fall down. I'm speaking to somebody right now. You've been praying and praying. Why do I have to be in this place? God is waiting for you to give your all so he can promote you. And it may not be in that place. Your promotion may come from termination and him sending you somewhere else. It may come from you leaving that ministry to him sending you somewhere else. It may come from him moving you in a different arena. The one that you're comfortable in is not where he has for you to stay. That's what I hear in my spirit. So he may move you out of your comfort zone and take you someplace you've never been. But because you served this other person 100%, because you have slaved and given your all and done your all, he is about to move you to a new position. And it's all going to come to fruition because you served right where you were. because you gave 100%, because he gave you a little and he showed that you could be faithful over that position, over that little, over that tiny thing, over that boss who speaks negatively to you or puts you down or overlooks you, or that clique that won't invite you to lunch, or they talk bad, or they're gossiping about you, or that friendship that doesn't feel right, or in that ministry where they don't even say thank you, where people don't want to be elevated. They want to do the same thing the same way over and over and over and over, and you're wondering why. God's saying, you've been faithful over a little, so now I'm going to make you leader over much. You just got to do your 100%. I don't know where that came from, but I hope someone will receive it today and give your 100%. God is waiting to elevate you, promote you, and move you. He cannot do it until you show yourself faithful to him and to who you're serving. Amen. 1 Samuel 20. Take a minute to read through it. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And find how Jonathan was able to be a true friend to David with no jealousy, with no envy. And I need you to get that, because love is not jealous. Love is not envious. Love is open to accept what it is that someone else may have or be able to do, and you not dwell on it. Because she sings great, that's wonderful. Applaud her, laud her up, compliment her. Your voice may sound like chicken scratch. Okay, I can't sing. Can I be honest? Both of my daughters can sing. My brother can sing. I can't sing. That's not my gifting. I'm not jealous of that. God didn't give me that. You know what? I'm like sing, y'all, until they get on my nerves, because they sing everything. Like my brother will sing sentences, and I'm just like, stop singing now. But love on them and compliment them. Don't be jealous of it. Just because her figure looks like an hourglass and yours looks like a Pepsi 2-liter Coca-Cola bottle. Go in the gym and go do something. Don't be jealous because she has her shape. You go do something about your shape. Don't be jealous because he has that car. You go and do what you have to do to get the car that you want, not to compete with him. You get what you want. You stay trying to satisfy yourself, not people. This is not about people pleasing. This is about getting what you want. This is about you walking into the promises of God, the fruitfulness of God. You know that fruit? It's about the seeds that you plant right here, right now. Get those negative seeds. It's time to pull them out by the root. There's some people that have to sit down right now and figure out why every time I see this kind of person, I'm jealous. Or why is it every time I see a couple like that, I'm envious? It's time for you to sit down and take a look in the mirror and say, what's inside me that's making me feel this way, so that you can get it out. It may take counseling. It may take ministry. It may take you speaking to someone you trust. I'm not sure, but it needs to come out. It may take journaling. Journaling is a really good therapeutic method, because you get to write down your honest emotions, and nobody else is going to read it. And if they do, that's what you get for touching my journal in the first place. So now you know how I really feel. But it really is an effective tool to get out those emotions. So I really want us to live our best lives. I want us to get to better. We've got to get to better before we can get to best. And in order for us to get to better, we have to be really, really honest this season about ourselves. We can tell everybody what's wrong with them. It's so easy to point the finger and say, oh, if she could only do this, if you stop doing that. But no, let's be like Michael Jackson and look at the man in the mirror and figure out what's going on with us, so we can be healed, so we can get into these godly, divine connections that are going to last a lifetime. Thank you so much for tuning in with me this Sunday. I tried not to hold you too long, but there were some things that I had to get out. Don't forget to read 1 Samuel chapter 20, so you can read about a friendship without jealousy. So that way it'll help you pattern your life to have friends that you're not jealous of, a mate that you're not jealous of or jealous about, positions at jobs that you're not jealous looking at other people. I want you to get those seeds of jealousy and envy out, so that love can really dwell within you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a happy Memorial Day. Go ahead and barbecue and grill. barbecue and grill. I don't know how to grill, so if somebody wants to invite me over tomorrow, I'm willing. Just, send me an inbox message. I'll be there. I'll bring even a Coke and some cups. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. I pray that better is coming for you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. God bless.